Welcome to Intuitive Writer. I'm your host, Camille Chan. I'm a writer, a medium, and a story channeler. I have 23 published books to my name and counting. I have been writing novels for over 30 years, and for just as long, I have been channeling stories. I have spent my life in dedication to my craft, and what I've learned is that, contrary to popular belief, stories do not come from within. Stories come from without. Stories exist in the universe as energy, and they are waiting to work with writers just like you and me to be channeled on to the written page. I believe that so many writers out there are already channeling stories, but they're doing it from an unconscious space. I started the Intuitive Writer podcast and YouTube channel to help writers just like you shift from a space of unconscious creativity to a space of conscious creativity. Be sure to tune in every week for teachings that will help you incorporate intuitive writing into your everyday writing practice. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so grateful to be part of this creative journey with you, and I look forward to sharing with you every week. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Intuitive Writer podcast and YouTube channel. I'm your host, Camille Chan. I hope everybody's having a lovely week and getting lots of writing done, or whatever your chosen art is, whether you're a painter or a drawer, a sculptor, whatever art you do. I hope you're in the middle of doing something that lights you up. So as I was sitting down and starting to think about this episode, I received the message that I need to be sharing more of my personal day-to-day process of writing. And I've shared a lot of it, but a lot of the stuff I've shared has been in the past, and not all of it is, stuff that's going on right here and right now. And the message that I got from Spirit was that letting people in a little bit more and letting them see what I'm actually doing is going to help give context to things that you guys are doing. So I'm trusting the universe, listening to my messages, and so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to share a little bit more about my current project. It's a new series that I'm writing called Jesus Christ Zombie Killer, and if you want to hear the backstory of that, go ahead and listen to the previous episode. It's episode 20. I talk about how the story came to me and how I came to be writing and channeling this very fun, romantic adventure story. Oh, and before we dive into the episode, if you're watching this on YouTube, I have to show you guys my very cool skeleton shirt. I thought it'd be fun to wear it since we're talking about a zombie book. But anyway, yeah, it's one of my running shirts. But anyway, I adore it with the skeletons on it. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about what's going on over here with Camille as she's working on her new book, Jesus Christ Zombie Killer. And not too long ago, I did an episode on signs, and in it I used examples of how your story communicates with you through the universe. And when the universe communicates with you, it's a subtle language, and in a way it's very much like learning a new language, because it's not the way that you're used to communicating, like the way we are here in this episode, or the way you communicate over texting or talking. It's very subtle, and it really requires you to pay attention. And one of the biggest things you can look for is synchronicities. When you see things repeat themselves, those are most definitely messages. And a lot of times when your stories and your characters are reaching out to you, you're going to come into contact with symbols or direct representations of things in your novel that are, it's basically your story, your character jumping up and down and waving their arms, and if they're into pom-poms, they might have pom-poms and be doing kicks and backflips to get your attention. I talked a little bit in the signs episode about how I wrote a transgender character recently in a book. It's actually coming out next week. I'm very excited for this character to hit virtual shelves. But I had all these like transgender things coming to me. I mean, just last week I got something in my Instagram. It was like Transgender Awareness Week or something. And I was like, oh, hi, Stevenson. Hello. So yeah, your story is always communicating with you. And so as I have jumped into this latest book, the book is called Forerunner, and it is built around the story of John the Baptist. So it's with the series name is called Jesus Christ, Zombie Killer. And so I've been getting a lot of Christ energy messages. It's really, really interesting. And one of the things that I've been seeing everywhere are doves. And the first time I saw them, I was on a walk with my daughter, and I've mentioned before that I live next to a 200-acre park, so I'm in that park all the time, sometimes by myself, sometimes with my family. But one night my daughter and I were walking, and we were walking on this path, and the grass right now is really tall. Some of it's taller than me, which I suppose isn't that hard, but it's really tall. And so about 10 feet away from us as we were walking, I'm assuming they were a mated pair of doves, they burst out of the bushes and they flew up into the tree. And my daughter and I both stopped. And I have to say, we're both very much into animals, and we're always paying attention. And my first thought was, I've never seen those doves before. And then my daughter looked at me and she said, Mommy, I've never seen those doves before. And of course, you know, what's more symbolic of Jesus than doves? And when I talk about being into animals, like this park, I go to this park all the time, and I know the animals. Like, oh, there's Mr. Coyote over there. You know, he's hanging out. Or, oh, that's where the little fox lives. Or, oh, that's where those two pairs of mated woodpeckers live. These are their trees over here. And, oh, over here, this is where the red-winged blackbirds live and like to hang out. And oh, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Mallard, this is their favorite pond, and I know they're going to have babies pretty soon. So I'm very much in touch with the wildlife that's around me in this park, and I have never seen this pair of doves before, and they caught both of our attention. So I was like, okay, that's that's my Jesus story definitely talking to me and just saying hello. So my daughter and I, we went on our walk. We came home, and we were just about to our house, and the doves flew by us again, and one of them landed on the light post, and the other one did like a little swoop, a little dive bomb over their heads. So I was just like, yay. Hi, Jesus, how you doing? Don't worry, I'm writing your story. And then there's more about these doves, you guys. They've just been hanging around everywhere. Over Easter break, I got up really early. It was sometime around sunrise, and I thought, I'm going to go get in a sunrise run. And I was out chugging up my hill. This is my favorite hill. And again, like I said, I know where all the birds are. I know who they are. And out of nowhere, here come these two doves. They swoop over my head, and they land in a tree at the top of this switchback, and they're looking at me. I was just like, hi again. Thank you for sending the doves to say hello. And I saw them 2 more times on that run. And when I finally got to the very top of the hill, they swooped by me and landed in a tree. And then on my way back down, maybe another quarter of a mile, like they came back and they swooped over me again, and they landed in the tree, and they were looking at me. So yeah, this is just an example of, I guess, my day-to-day life. My stories are always talking to me. They're always sending me symbols. And I was even driving to the store the other day, and I came around the corner, and the 2 doves were sitting on a fence, and they were just looking at me, saying hi. I probably haven't seen the doves in a week or so, but I know they're still around, and I know that they were sent by the energy that's working with me in this story, and it's just a way to let me know that it's there, that it's present. And even, even last night, I was scrolling through my Instagram, and you have to understand, my personal Instagram, like, it's about running and zombies. So there's like a bazillion running pictures, there's like beer jokes, there's stuff about horror movies and zombies. Like, that's Camille's Instagram feed. And as I'm scrolling, all of a sudden there's a picture of Jesus just on a post. I was like, oh, hi. Thanks for saying hi. I saved it because he was coming along to say hi. I appreciate that. And what's been really interesting is there's been this fusion in my book. So not only is there this Christ energy that's coming through, but there's also this very old Roman energy that's coming through. So I've had some energies of some old gods and goddesses step forward. And the two main ones are the god Apollo, the god of light, the god of healing, and then the goddess Morta, the goddess of death, who plays a very big role in the zombie apocalypse in this book. And it's been really interesting having this Roman, I can't even come up with the right word right now, but anyway, I've got Christ energy, and then I've got Apollo and the goddess of death over here, and like everything's coming in. And so I've been getting signs from that side of things too. I had a reader recently, of all things, he sent me a Cupid video. I was like, oh, okay, hello. Hello, gods and goddesses of ancient Rome. Yes, I hear you. And I'm a zombie author, so what are the odds that, and it wasn't like creepy Cupid video. It was actually a really funny Cupid video. It was, anyway. And so, yeah, I knew it's just like, okay, the story is that the other energy that I'm working with in this story is letting me know. And then I had a day on Instagram where I had a couple new followers start following me, and they all had like Roman god and goddess reference names in them, and I can't remember them off the top of my head. One of them had like Olympus in the name. I thought I saw like an Achilles heel. Anyway, I can't remember off the top of my head, but again, like these were all signs from my story. The story was just communicating with me and letting me know that yes, it's coming. And even like right down to my meditation, I was sitting in meditation one day and I had Christ energy coming in on the left, and I had this ancient Roman energy coming in on the right, and it was like fusing in my body. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. That was a pretty intense session. I actually ended up in bed afterwards because it was so intense, the energy. It zapped all of my energy, and I had to take a nap afterwards. So yeah, the energies behind this story, they're so present, and they're letting me know all the time. So I'm hoping that by sharing these with you guys, it can help you look at your own writing life and just maybe slow down a little bit and take a look at the world every day and just notice the little ways that your story is communicating with you. Like maybe you have a certain type of dog in your story, and then suddenly you're seeing this type of dog everywhere, whether it's bumper stickers or walking around your neighborhood or in movies. Oh, another thing that'll happen to me is I'll hear a character's name everywhere. Like my last book that I wrote, there's a character named Leo, and it's like, my husband and I are watching a movie. Oh, the main character's named Leo, or I hear Leo over here, Leo over there. I would just hear his name everywhere, and I know that's just the story. It's just reaching out and communicating with me, and these are just the subtle language of the universe, you guys. So think of this as like your foreign language class of communicating with your story and communicating with the universe. All right, now we enter part 2 of this episode. So part 1 was all about story signs and examples of how my story is currently communicating with me. And so now we're going to talk about misalignment and writer's block. And again, there's a couple of episodes on writer's block, so I definitely recommend you go back and listen. But basically, I started this story on March 23rd, and it was like a storm coming through my body, and all I could do was write and write and write and write. And about a week ago, I think I hit, 35,000 words. And all of a sudden, this beautiful flow that I had, like, it was gone. It was totally gone. It dried up. And I was like, shit. I was on a roll. Okay, so I know that if it's not flowing, I know there's something off. I know I either missed something or I'm misaligned with the story somehow. I'm not queued up. I'm not aligned with it, and I'm not bringing it in. So I asked the story, I'm like, okay. I stopped writing, and I just asked the story, like, show me what did I miss? Why did everything come to a screeching halt? And a couple days went by, actually. I did not get my answer right away, which does not make Camille very happy. I'm not very patient. But I went on a long workout in the woods like I like to do, and I was dragging myself up and down this very steep hill for several hours. And I was just asking the story, like what's up? What's up? Why did everything come to a screeching halt? Like, we were on a roll, guys. We had the love story going. The zombies just came in. Like we're ready, right? We're ready for blood and action. So why did you stop me? And as I'm going up and down my hill, all of a sudden I heard the name of my main arch villainess, Herodias. Herodias is the woman who steals the husband of our main heroine, the Queen of Galilee. She steals her husband and starts the zombie apocalypse. And I had written her as a very one-dimensional, like full-on evil character. She was very just fun and easy to write. And all of a sudden she shows up while I'm on my run. I was like, okay, Herodias is here. What's up? What's going on? And she was a little bit reticent. Like, all I got basically was that she wanted to have a much larger role in the story. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. I don't usually write point of view characters from villains. I guess I find as a reader, I don't connect very well with bad guys. So I really don't like books that have chapters and chapters and chapters written from the point of view of the bad guy, because a lot of times they're not sympathetic, they're not interesting, and you kind of just get bored of them doing terrible things and being uninteresting and unsympathetic. So I as a rule of thumb, I just don't write points of view from the bad guys. But all of a sudden I had a villain say, hey, I have a story. So I was like, okay. And then she went away for another couple of days, and I was like, damn. The days are ticking by, and like, I like to write, like I had time, I was ready to write, and like it wasn't there. So what do? You wait. And total side note, my husband and I just celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary, which was super excited. We went to Las Vegas for a couple of days, and we shot very large firearms, which was incredibly exciting. I had no idea. I've only shot guns a couple times in my life. And they weren't great experiences, but this one was a great experience. So yeah, Camille's all fired up about guns right now. And we also went to a beautiful park called the Valley of Fire and did a lot of hiking. So it was a lovely couple of days in Vegas with my best friend, and it was the last day there, and suddenly like I felt her. I'm like, oh, she's here. Herodias is here. All right, I'm so ready. So the next day we got on the airplane, and my husband's like, do you need your computer? Are you planning to write on the way home? And I'm like, oh no, Herodias is here. Like, this girl, she's gonna deliver now. She's ready to talk to me. So pulled out my journal, got my pen, put in my earbuds. The hour-and-a-half flight home, it was like major download. It's like, I don't know, like you see those movies where they have to like pull off a heist on a computer, right? And the little bars going by. Anyway, so that's like what it was. Like, the information was just pouring into me, and I was writing it as fast as I can, all my notes. And then when the plane touched, it was like, oh, I've got her story. It's crazy complex, and it's long, and oh my God, now she's really cool. Like, now I kind of love her. This lady that starts the zombie apocalypse and steals husbands, or just one husband actually. She's got this like really incredible story, and even the energy of the goddess Morta, the death goddess. I'm like, oh wow, she's like stepping forward in a way bigger way than I had anticipated. I thought the Apollo energy was going to be the main one, and I'm like, oh no, Morta. Lady Morta, the goddess of death, she's here. And she's working through this character, and like she's got stuff to say too. So all of a sudden I had it, and then I returned to my computer, and it's been like lightning, you guys. It's just, it's flowing. So as you sit at your computer and you're working on your own book, like, pay attention to the flow of your story. And if you're having to really labor and it feels like trying to squeeze water from a stone as you're trying to get your word counts, take a minute, maybe close your computer and just reflect for a minute and consider the fact that maybe you're just misaligned. Maybe there's something you missed. Maybe there's some kind of shift that has to happen for you to reconnect with the story of your energy, or with the energy of your story. And you might have to take a couple days off. And remember, always talk to your story. Like, ask it, what's up? What's up, story? Come on, you gotta throw down. Like, I'm here, I'm showing up. You gotta show me what you need. And the story will answer. And I can't tell you why sometimes I get answers immediately and why sometimes they take a week. I don't know. I guess that's where trust comes in, you guys. Trust divine timing, trust your story. I don't know. But again, just rather than trying to continue to just slave away at the keyboard and pound away when inspiration's not there, take a step back, make the space, ask the questions, wait for the answer to come. Make sure you're getting that alone time so that you can hear your story. Go on those walks by yourself, or of course, meditation's my favorite, or exercise, whatever it is, that maybe a long bath or a hot tub, whatever it is, just that space that you need to hear your story. So make sure you're paying attention and staying in alignment with your story. And I promise you, when you're in alignment, your story is going to flow. You're going to be pounding on the keyboard. You're going to write so fast, you're not even going to believe it. Like I said, I started on March 23rd. Today's April 12th, and I'm just shy of 40,000 words. I'm probably going to hit 40,000 words tonight. And that's fast, right? That's fast. My books are usually only 75, 80,000 words, so I'm almost halfway done. And that's what it's like. That's what happens when you're in flow and you're in alignment with your story. Okay, and now we are entering part 3 of this episode of peeking into Camille's day-to-day writing life. And this last part is really about trust and surrender, and I think it's actually the best story of everything that I've shared so far, so I hope you're still sticking around. I talk a lot, both on Instagram and on the podcast, about how important surrender and trust is, because you are co-creating with the universe, and you don't always understand as an intuitive writer why a certain story comes to you, why a certain character, why certain things are asked of you as an artist, because when you're co-creating with the universe, often you have to move into an area of extreme discomfort, as I very much was when I first started this book. And again, I talk about this in depth in the last episode, sharing a lot about the ancestral Christ trauma that I inherited and how uncomfortable I've always been with Christ energy, uncomfortable and resistant, and generally suspicious of Christ energy. And it did occur to me that maybe one of the reasons this story came to me was so that I could work on healing that. But I didn't know. I just had to trust that the story was so loud and so forceful that it was here for a reason. So I trusted it and I started writing. So I had this really beautiful experience this past weekend. I took a 2-day mediumship development class, and it was by a lovely instructor named Suzanne Geisman. And I've taken other classes from her before, and it was under her instruction through some of her audio works that I made some of my very first contacts with spirit guides. So she's the real deal, you guys, and she's such a beautiful soul. I absolutely, I adore the work that she does, and I adore her teachings. And when this class popped into my inbox, I immediately felt that tug, that intuitive tug, that I was like, okay, I need to take this. I don't know why. When I'm looking at it from the logical Camille's brain, it didn't make any sense to take it, because everything I saw on there was all stuff that I had already learned from her. But my intuition was telling me, you need to take this class. I was like, okay. That's what I do when I get those pings or those intuitive nudges. I take the leap, even though they don't always make sense. So I enrolled in this 2-day course. It was a long course, you guys. It was 11 hours over 2 days. And anyway, I did end up learning a ton, but I had this one very intense experience that directly has to do with the book, and that's what I'm going to share with you now. As soon as I entered her course, it was the first day. It was Saturday morning. It started at 7 a.m., you guys. That's dedication. Being ready to rock and roll at 7 a.m. for a mediumship course. And as soon as she came on the screen, I felt the energy. Like I felt like I entered an activation chamber, and immediately like grandma popped up over here, grandpa popped up over here, and I just started channeling and downloading and receiving like crazy, just like this bombardment of messages and information. And it was really intense. It was so intense that I ended up falling asleep in the hot tub later that day because I was so tired. Channeling does take it out of you. It might be more exhausting than ultra marathon training. Who knew? But anyway, so as I'm sitting in this class and I'm like, there's all this energy around me and all this stuff is coming in, all I could do is just receive it, like just sit there and receive it. And all of a sudden, Christ energy showed up. I was like, oh, and it flowed into me, and it was so strong. I was sitting on the floor because I really like sitting on the floor, and I leaned back and I could hardly move. I had my head on the edge of the bed, and it flowed into me. And he said, oh, hold on, I have to get my journal. I wrote it down. Write it. Hold on, I'm going to find it. I'll be right back. Okay, I found my notebook. It was behind me on the bed. And I don't know why I couldn't exactly remember the phrasing of this message because it's so beautiful, but I also didn't want to mess it up. And so what he said was, you are a part of Jesus Christ energy, and he is a part of me. And I laid there and I just felt this immense love just flow into my body, and it filled me up from head to toe. And I heard this beautiful message, and then it moved around, and then it started like flowing out, and then the love was flowing out of me. So it was like this two-way connection where I had love flowing into my body and it was flowing out of my body. And as this was happening, I could hardly move. I started to weep. I just started to cry, and I felt all of them, not all of it, but I felt so much of the resistance and the ancestral trauma just start to leave my body in these tears. And I cried, and I released so much of the trauma and the resistance and the suspicion that I've always carried for Christ energy. It poured out of me. And I was just so filled with love and light. And it was just the most beautiful healing, you guys. It was the most beautiful healing. And then I knew for sure that was part of the reason that this story came to me, was so that I could receive this beautiful healing. And I don't know if all the trauma is gone. I don't know if all the resistance is gone. But I do know that I have a lot more love in my body than I did when I first started writing this book, and it feels really beautiful and really expansive, and it's the most amazing gift. It's the most amazing gift. And if I hadn't listened to the universe, and if I hadn't understood and recognized that this story was being so loud and so insistent for a reason, if I hadn't cleared the deck of all the other projects that I had in the works, I wouldn't have been able to receive the beautiful healing that came in that day. And like I said, you never know why a story picks you, why a character picks you. You never know. And I think there's actually many reasons for it. I think our stories go out there and they touch different people in different ways, and they might carry different messages or wisdoms or insights that touch everybody a little bit differently. But I think that's also part of what we do as intuitive writers. But I also think beautiful gifts flow back to you as an intuitive writer when you agree to co-create with the universe. and strap in and go along for the ride. Even if it's scary or uncomfortable, I think the rewards are beautiful and life-changing. And so this is an example of that. So this brings us to the end of this week's episode. And again, Spirit told me, hey, you need to start sharing your day-to-day personal writing process so that people can see how you do it and then start to overlay their own experiences on what you're sharing. So that's what I'm doing. Like so many things that Spirit asked me to do, it's uncomfortable. I'm a private person, and I don't share always. But I've been asked to do this, so again, I'm just in trust that I'm doing it for the greater good and that it's going to help other writers out there understand their own connection to their beautiful stories and their own connection in this crazy jigsaw puzzle of a universe that doesn't always make sense. So anyway, I will be back. I'm trying to do every other week, you guys. I think that's actually feeling really good right now. It's feeling like it's something that I can keep up with. So I'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. And again, I have the link for the newsletter in my show notes. And I'm really hoping that once I get through this story, the universe is gonna ease up a little bit and help me get this course out. Because like I said, it's sitting there, it's ready to go, and I just keep hearing that it's not time yet. So I don't know. I'm just trusting. I'm just in trust. I hope you all have a beautiful week, and I hope you all have beautiful experiences with your stories and your art, and I will talk to everyone soon. Oh, and of course, you can always find me on Instagram at Write with Intuition if you want to drop me a DM. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.